Hi, this is Wayne Bible in my Project 1 for Advanced Architectural History, where I will examine the maps of hell. We are all aware of the concept of heaven and hell, and are all somewhat familiar with the main characters, God and Satan. But who are the characters Antonio Manetti, Giovanni Zilani, Michelangelo Settini, and Gustave Doré? One thing is certain. They were all influenced and intrigued by Dante Alighieri's Nine Principal Rings of Hell and the potential outcome of human life after death. You could say they're uncharted territory, because no one knows if heaven or hell exist in a physical realm, or if they're simple manifestations, ancient stories that have been mimetically woven into the core of our being through shared stories over deep time. When it comes to the matters of the spirit and metaphysics, surely the meditations of hell can strike a nerve and speak to anyone's personal fragility. The names and specific details laid out in the Divine Comedy are not necessarily as important for this overall conversation, but listed here are what the layers of hell represent as far as their corresponding level of sin. Dante vividly describes his journey but leaves the architecture of the realm to the imagination. This, in the mid to late 15th century, most influentially inspired a Florentine architect and mathematician, Antonio Manetti, who meticulously investigated and interpreted the architecture in such a convincing manner among his contemporaries that it even caught Galileo's attention. Antonio's works are monoprints from carved woodblock and were never published until after his death in preceding editions of the epic poem around Italy. Though Antonio's diagrams appear simplistic, they tend to set a notable precedent that distinctly shows itself over and over again in further iterations later to be developed. In the 16th century, Giovanni Antonio further refines and expands these maps with the advancement of etching technology. We can see a higher resolution emerges, but the overall structure remains closely tied to Manetti's precedent. 3.5 centuries after the Inferno was written, the maps begin to take on a more modern aesthetic by the hand of the noble-born Duke of Sermoneta, Michelangelo Cattini. The Duke was a socialite and political figure, a notable Italian scholar who studied Dante deeply, and was also an artist and goldsmith. His works were done in lithograph and different forms, and also done by different hands over time in monastic settings. With Catani's work, we can see that they're very regimented, very modern, and very familiar. In this cross section of hell, in the plan of hell, we see very specific motifs that remain in architectural drawing and educational or scientific drawings to date. Lastly, Gustave Doré was a highly prolific French illustrator whose masterworks, woodcut and etching, thanks to technological advancements in printing technology, were printed and distributed en masse the globe around, which firmly establishes the Divine Comedy as a household name. In some regards, making it an addendum to the Christian Bible. Though technological advancement and artistic expression continue to afford viewers a more precise map that helps build the architecture of our potential eternal damnation, it appears that these socially confirmed typologies still haven't helped us physically locate heaven or hell, and the content surely does not offer any of us assurance of what comes after life. Unknown to any of us is how literal or possibly clairvoyant Dante may have been. Passionate, romantic indeed, but from my perspective, no one, not even Dante himself, could have imagined how impactful his work would become in constructing a globally accepted allegory and recognizable architecture for the depths of hell and the highest heavens. It is my observation that Dante's visions of hell may in fact be more widely known, interpreted, passed down, and promulgated as gospel to the outcomes of our actions. And though none of what Dante wrote was literal, and especially not sourced from any scripture, If anything, it was a personal vision more relatable to the themes in Greek and Roman myth. For example, the river Styx in the subterranean home of Hades. Powerful and poignant, yes. Nonetheless, the Divine Comedy is still only one man's expression of his emotion that sprung from within his cosmology. We can further see these visual depictions of hell are not confined to Greek and Roman myth, but call upon the language of the burgeoning Christian faith, but they also begin to appear in tandem with early astronomy endeavors. There are clear correlations of Manetti's initial maps showing neat concentric circles, with a similar gravity seen in both geo and heliocentric cosmography. I find it coincidental that there was 9 initial planets and there are 9 initial layers to hell. So these representations too begin to advance within our broader understanding of more advancing scientific cosmological views of natural order. Metaphorically speaking, the personal and spiritual journeys we lead have an irregular topography. There are depths and heights, periods of darkness and light, a multiplicity of layers, unfathomable dimensionality, and likeness to the orbiting planets, stars, and electrons. If we further contextualize this cosmology, at the time, it is only natural then that the structures above are mirrored below. As we ascend, the heavens expand, and so it is only natural metaphor that, as we descend, we condense to the apex of hell's innermost cavern. Deep unknowing is still before us. I dare to draw on black holes, first proposed dark stars during 1700s, and are still deep mystery today. I find it poignant that these maps and stories could draw parallels between the birth and death of stars, balance, order, decay, and chaos. So I argue that deep down in most scenarios, we do not need divine intervention or a map to know the difference between proverbial right and wrong, and have collectively seen and therefore drawn conclusions to inevitable outcomes, witnessing repeated themes in the stage that is all the world as it continues to play out before us. I would further argue that it is true. Our lives deeply benefit and rely on drawn metaphors to outline and navigate for our emotions, because they have mountains and valleys to climb and rivers of woe to cross. We orbit each other and continue to peel back the layers upon layers of human emotion and condition. There is not one right way and no guidepost to the cosmos. Truly, not one person knows the outcome of the spirit, or if there is even such a thing to be observed. Yet the maps that depict Dante's 9 rings of hell bring us a physical, tactile means to visualize the architecture of consequences to wicked behavior and the common plight of our human condition. These archetypes and images heed relatable warnings that can elicit deep fear, intrigue, and contemplation. At a minimum, the 9 rings stand still as a decently ordered outline to guide one in a more empathetic direction in which to navigate our current comedies. Thank you.